I've read 21 books in July and August, and at this point, I think I'm addicted to reading. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thanks for stopping by. If you've watched any of my monthly plan with me's, then you know that I usually update my reading journal and talk about the books that I've read, but I haven't done a book wrap up since June. But I've definitely been reading. I've read 21 books in July and August, and at this point, I think I'm addicted to reading. Before we get into the books, let me give you a little reading background on myself. I started back reading last year. I'm a digital girl, so most of my books are read on the iPad mini. I do a combination of reading and listening, but here lately I've been doing more listening. I work from home and listen to books while I work. They actually help me focus. If I had to pick a favorite category, I would say urban romance are my favorite, but I enjoy reading all types of books. I'm open to book recommendations and discussions. These are just my opinions on the books, but feel free to leave me a comment and let me know your thoughts. All right, let's get into it. First up is the Hoop series by Kennedy Ryan. The first book in this series is Longshot. This book is about a forbidden love, and the way that August and Iris meet, you can already tell there's chemistry there. But she has a man, and in fact, he's a basketball player like August. Iris quickly finds out that everything that glitters ain't gold, and she finds herself stuck between a rock and a lunatic. Now, let me tell you, this book does have some trigger warnings. There's some domestic violence and sexual abuse that may be a hard pass for some. This book definitely takes some unexpected twists and turns and will have you sitting on the edge of your seat. I gave this one 4 stars. The next book in this series is Blockshot, and this is Jared and Banner's story. Both of them are successful sports agents that have a history with each other. Banner is not letting go of the past. Homegirl is holding on to that thing tight and telling Jared to kiss her every chance she gets. Banner is holding her own in the sports agency world and is one of the few women in an all-boys club. My girl does not play, but even with the feelings about their past, it's still a battle of emotions for her every time Jared comes near. I gave this book 4 stars. The last book in this series is Hookshot, and this one is about Lotus Dupree, who is Iris's cousin. Lotus has had a rough start in life, and she's taking time right now to heal herself, focus on her star player. So she does not have the time or the energy to give to a man or a relationship right now, but here comes Keenan Ross. Now, Lotus and Keenan have been around each other before because Keenan and August play on the same team, and they're good friends. Keenan, on the other hand, has his own set of issues. He's a divorced single dad that has been traded to a not so good team, and he finds himself trying to get his stuff together, but it's something about Lotus that just draws him to her. For me, this was the best book in the series, and I gave it 5 stars. Now, the next book I read was Miss Pearlys Girls by Rashonda Tate Billingsley. The whole title of this book is Miss Pearlys Girls, A Captivating Tale for Family Healing. And let me tell you, if there was a picture of a family in need of healing, Miss Pearly would be it with her girls. Now, Miss Pearly has 4 girls and they are barely on speaking terms, but they all have to go back to Arkansas because their mother is terminally ill. Miss Pearly wants her girls to repair their relationships, but to do that, they have to deal with the issues, secrets, and lies from their past. This book is messy, but these girls are trying to get it back together the best way they can. I gave this book 4 stars. My next book is The Justice by James Patterson and Aaron Cooley. The Justice is an Audible exclusive. Now, this was my first Audible book with each character being narrated by someone differently. It was like listening to a movie. Now, Sanaa Lathan reads the part of Justice Beth Gardner, who's just been appointed to a seat on the Supreme Court. Before she even gets a chance to celebrate her accomplishment, she's being blackmailed for her vote on her first case. Now Beth has to figure out what's going on and who she can trust. That's when all the secrets start coming to light and a murder takes place. Now Beth is faced with the decision of voting the way they want her to or risking her life. This book was so good that my husband even listened to it with me. Now, it's a short one. It's a little under 3 hours, and both of us were hooked trying to solve this mystery. I gave this book 4 stars. Now we have The Housemade Is Watching by Frida McFadden. I was waiting on this book. This is the 3rd book of the Housemade series. Now, if you haven't read the other 2 books, I highly recommend them, especially the first one. The Housemade is the first book that I read by Big Frida, and I've been a fan ever since. Now, I love a good page-turning Frida novel, but I'm also going to let you know how I really feel about the book, and this one just wasn't up to my Frida expectations. This book was okay. I feel like the series could have stopped with book 2, and because the first 2 books were so good, I was just expecting more from this book. I'm not going to say don't read the book. I'm just saying for me, it didn't reach the level of the first 2 books. This book takes place a few years in the future, and Millie just wasn't Million like she did in the first 2 books. I was waiting on her to do something, and yeah. Now, I don't want to tussle. I'm just giving my honest experience with the book. If you've read this one, let me know what you think in the comments. I gave this book 3 stars. Next, we have another series. This series starts with Strictly Professional by Christina C. Jones. Gabby is fresh out of a relationship and looking for a fresh start in a new city with a new career as a lawyer. Her first night, she bumps into Terrence, and they have good conversation and chemistry, but things don't go any further than that, or at least that's what they thought. When Gabby arrives the first day, guess who happens to be there? Right. So now Gabby and Terrence have to figure out the dynamics of their new relationship. This book has a cute storyline, but I will let you know there are a few characters in this one that had me ready to tussle. The audacity of it all, that's all I'm going to say. They take my girl Gabby through it, and I mean real bad. Now, I did read the second book in this series, Unfinished Business, and I don't want to say too much about that book to give away stuff that happens in the first book. So in case anyone wants to read these 2 books, I'll just say that that one is a good book too. When you finish it, come back here and meet me in the comments and we can talk about it. I gave both of these books 4 stars. Then, y'all, I found Alexandria House. I don't know why y'all let me stay in the dark so long and no one told me anything about her book sooner. I went down a spiral, y'all, and now that I found her, you and me, us never part. I started with the McClane brothers, and girl, I wasn't ready. First off, let me start off by saying, what up there now? If you read it, you know. I think Uncle Leicester was my favorite character in all the books and had me laughing all the way through. Every time he makes an appearance, you're gonna laugh. Let Me Love You was the first book in this series. Now, Jo is standing on her own 2 feet after getting a divorce from her crazy ex. She's trying to establish her own career while taking care of her daughter and basically staying out the way. But then she runs into Everett Big South McClane in a very compromising position. And she's like, oh no, I'm good on him. He's a womanizer. Have a great life. But Everett lets her know real quick, you think you know, but you have no idea. He steps up big time and proves that actions speak way louder than words. And if Big South is not on your book boyfriend list, I don't know at this point if we can be friends. I gave this book 4.5 stars. Now, the next book in this series is Let Me Hold You, and this one is about Leland. He is also something serious. He's an NBA player with a thing for older women. There's also a trigger warning on this book because the love story involves an older woman and younger man with profanity and sexual content. So if those are no's for you, skip over this book. Now, Leland has it bad for Kim, but Kim has her own set of problems and is not sure if any type of relationship with Leland would be a good idea. But Leland has his mind made up and is used to getting what he wants, so he's not taking no for an answer without a fight. This one had some twists and turns I didn't see coming at all. I gave this book 4 stars. Next up is Let Me Show You. This is Nolan's story. Now, Nolan is the go-to guy for the family. If they have any problems that need to be solved, Nolan is the guy to get it done. He is one of the twins. He's real smart and plans everything out to a T. Now, he thinks he has his life planned out until he bumps into Bridget. Now, Bridget is Joe's friend, and she's an actress. Nolan's getting into filmmaking and casting his first movie, so you know where this is going. But Bridget is like, nah, I'm not his flavor. So she doesn't know if he's playing or for real. Now, this book has some trigger warnings. There's memory of child abuse. There's mention of drug use, memory of child neglect. And again, if you don't care for any of these, skip this book. This one's not for you. Nolan and Bridget have a very interesting story, and the ending on this one will surprise you. I gave this book 4 stars. Now, the McClane brothers have a sister, Kat, and you're going to read about her in Let Me Please You. She's the only one with 4 brothers, so you already know how that goes. They are not playing about her at all. She has recently split up from her husband and is working on getting a divorce. She's been with this man since high school and now is determined to get her life back on track, but at the same time, she's a little lonely. Then we have Tommy, who's Big South's bodyguard and has been around the family for years. He loves his job and is very good at it, and Tommy and Kat end up in a situation where they spend a lot of time around each other, more than usual. And let's just say there may be a spark or two. I gave this book 4 stars. The last book of this series is Let Me Free You. And hands down, this is my favorite story. Alexandria saved the best for last with this one. Neil is the other twin brother that is going through a lot of things. Not some, a lot. He is no stranger to a hard time. In fact, his family is used to him having issues and they basically expect him to have issues all the time. He wants to do better. He just doesn't have the drive or the will to do better. And then we have Sage, who is Bridget and Joe's friend. She needs help real bad. And if she doesn't get the help, she's going to be put into a situation where she'll have to leave not only her friends, but the life she's built for herself behind. Neil and Sage come together in an awkward way, but the results are explosive. Now make sure to read the other brothers' stories first, because throughout their stories, you get the backstory on both Neil and Sage. And this story is the icing to the cake. I gave this book 5 stars. Now, I would put this whole series in my must-read recommendation. I left the McLean brothers and I went to the Them Boys series. This is a series of novellas, and when I tell you the spice level is high on all 3 of these books, you've been warned. Each book is titled after the brother that it's featuring, and Set, Ja, and Shu really are them boys. Now, they all had a tough childhood, and each of them are facing the issues as a result of that. Their past has basically shut them off to the world, but you know how that goes. When you're not looking for love, it busts through the front door. But when I tell you these brothers know how to make a woman feel special, and when they find the one for them, each of them shows their women what it truly means to be the one. Each brother's story is unique, but they're all tied together for the backstory. I would definitely recommend reading them in order because of the backstory that is told in the books. These novellas are going to be a quick read or listen, but you'll get a full story for each one of the brothers. I gave this whole series 4.5 stars. Now it's time for the ladies with the Strickland Sisters series. The first book in this series is Stay With Me. Now, Angela's a natural hair YouTuber that makes a pretty good living for herself, but stays away from men because she falls too hard too fast. She owns a duplex and she lives in one side and rents the other side out. Well, Ryan comes to town for work and rents from Angela for 6 months. Now, Ryan does not believe in relationships. In fact, he's never been in one and will tell you that he is no good. But of course, Angela and Ryan are attracted to each other and from 2 different sides of the spectrum when it comes to relationships. Now you have to read for yourself to see how this story unfolds. Stay With Me also introduces the other 2 Strickland sisters, Renee and Nicole. I gave this book 4 stars. Now the next book in this series is Believe in Me, and this is Renee's story. Renee is a midwife running a successful business and has been married to an unfaithful husband for years. She finally gets sick and tired of being sick and tired, but her husband doesn't want to let go. Then enters Lorenzo, or Zoe, and he sees Renee and knows exactly what he wants. Zoe is patient and intentional with Renee, but Zoe also comes with a background that most wouldn't want to have any parts of. Let's just say he is not one that you want to cross ever. Now, Renee is attracted to Zoe, but her main concern right now is healing and protecting her heart. Also, she doesn't want to get involved with anyone still being married to her ex. I gave this book 4 stars. The last book in this series is about the youngest sister, Nicole Strickland. She is a career student. My girl has taken a class in just about everything because as long as she's a student, her dad still gives her money. She is spoiled and is on the hunt for a man to pick up from where her dad's leaving off and continue to take care of her. She's having a good time too while she's searching for the right man. Damien is Nicole's best friends, and they've been friends since they were in the 2nd grade. Now, Damien knows everything about Nicole, and I mean everything, but he still loves her down. And Nicole has feelings for him too, but he hurt her a while back and she's not letting that go. And I forgot to mention that Nicole is also engaged to Travis. This book is the best messy love story that I've read in a while. This one was definitely my favorite of the series. I gave this book 4.5 stars. Now, the last 2 books that I read are It Begins With Us and It Ends With Us. I listened to both of these books on Audible. Now, this may be an unpopular opinion, but it was a little hard for me to get into It Ends With Us. I think it was a combination of the storyline and also the narrator's voice. It was just something about her voice. This book was just okay to me. I thought Rao was crazy as hell, and I couldn't understand why Lily stuck around for so long until I read the author's note at the end. When I read the author's note at the end, it was like an aha moment, and it brought the whole book. It brought the whole book together, and it changed my perspective of it. It Begins With Us was a good one too. I had both of these books on my TBR for a while, and when the movie came out, I wanted to read them before going to see the movie. And this series has some trigger warnings too. There's some child neglect and domestic violence that's discussed in these books, so if those are hard-nosed for you, pass this series. Now let's talk about my TBR for the month of September. I'm going to read 1201, The Darkest Child. I'm going to throw in The Silent Patient, and I'm going to start the Falling for Rose series. That's all the books that I read for July and August. I think I might like doing this separate video for my reading wrap up, but let me know in the comments which you prefer. All right, y'all. Till next time.